let's look ahead to the national championship game. Early thoughts: Ohio State, Notre Dame in Atlanta, January 20th, 7:30 kickoff, I believe. You've got Ohio State, just all the talent in the world. Notre Dame, talented team, a lot of injuries. Nobody's going to argue that Ohio State's, that Notre Dame is more talented than Ohio State. They're not. The quarterback matchup is going to be interesting. These two guys weren't highly touted, coming out of high school and really even in the portal. I mean, they were high portal quarterbacks because there's not a lot of portal quarterbacks out there. And it seemed like Ohio State and Notre Dame knew exactly who they wanted for these teams and who they wanted to lead these teams in the 2024 season, and that was Will Howard and Riley Leonard. News already out: Anthony Knapp, starting left tackle for Notre Dame, is out for the game. So it must be a bad injury for him. He was already in, out of pads on the sideline.
Join the long list.
Yeah, so and everybody's banged up. I know Ohio State, they suffered a couple. I mean, JTT had a little banged up ankle there in the first half. So
Simon went down a little bit, and I think he came back in, linebacker for Ohio State.
Yeah, so. And we know Ohio State's had issues on the offensive line. Yeah. So I think my initial thoughts, since I've got, a little vested rooting interest here, my initial thoughts is it's going to be very, very tough for Notre Dame to win this game. Very tough.
Yeah.
The spread does not lie. It's 9.5. And you're thinking, okay, like,
looking at bet has it currently at 8.5, but it opened 9.5. It's currently sitting around 8.5, 9. So it's flirting around it.
If you look at SP Plus, you look at K Ford ratings, all that, these two teams are very, very closely power rated.
Mm-hmm.
So you see a spread of 9.5. Obviously, they don't factor in injuries, but Vegas is usually onto stuff. Like they're usually pretty good with these spreads for a reason. This one has a potential. I'm not going to give a odds or a percentage wise, but it's got a potential to get ugly for Notre Dame if they don't do the right things. If they start off like they did against Penn State in the first half, this could get ugly. If they do what Texas did and they force Ohio State into some second and third and longs, whether it be by getting them behind the chains and disrupting that offensive line, or by Ohio State committing a lot of penalties, that'll help them out a lot. I think it'll be an interesting matchup. Everyone's going to talk about it ad nauseum all week. Notre Dame secondary versus the wide receivers of Ohio State. It's just tough to contain that many weapons, man. Like we saw Jeremiah Smith with one catch, and you got Egbuka and Tate having great games, and you having G. Scott out there at tight end having a good game. And then you've got Henderson and Judkins, doing their thing from the running back position. And it's just tough. I do think that Notre Dame's defensive line could have an edge against Ohio State's offensive line.
Yep.
But again, that scheme blocking that Chip Kelly and Ryan Day are going to come up with, that should bode well for Ohio State. On the offensive side of the ball for Notre Dame, man, like I'll say the same thing I said for Texas. Like to me, it's going to be tough for Notre Dame to score.
Yeah, it's going to be tough, bro.
I don't know how much success they're going to have in the run game. They're for sure going to have to start opening it up a little bit more earlier than they did against Penn State.
Yep.
Penn State's got a great defense. Like that game they played with Ohio State earlier this year, that was 20-13, right?
Mm-hmm.
They've got a great defense. All these teams are very similar. When you get to this point, you got a great defense no matter what. Just so much talent on the Ohio State side, man. It's it's going to be tough for the Irish.
Yeah, what makes Ohio State different, man, is they've just got elite, like NFL guys at every level of their defense. Like the fact that their secondary is as good as it is, they've got arguably the two best safeties in all of college football on their team. One of the best middle linebackers in all of college football. Multiple D linemen that are just ridiculous from the inside and on the edges. So yeah, it's no doubt, bro. It's a tall task, man. Like, I mean, I
want so bad to believe that Notre Dame's got a fighting chance, but it's gonna be tough.
But hey, I'll say this, man. I would not count out this Notre Dame team with their resolve, and I know this
eventually the injuries are going to catch up with them.
I agree. You heard me say that before the Georgia game. I said I thought that going into that game that eventually these injuries not like formidable starters. We're talking about like some of their best players and most important players that keep going out over and over again every single game. And, obviously their physical brand and style of football is just wearing and tearing on them, man. It's the longest season we've ever had in college football history. And that's just wearing and tearing on them week in and week out. I'm with you on the far as the matchup. I mean, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that like the stuff that NFL scouts are going to be drooling over will be the matchup of the Notre Dame secondary versus the Ohio State wide receivers. These are the two best secondaries in college football. I feel pretty confident in saying that this year, corner, safety, as far as the entire unit, these are the two best. So Notre Dame primarily plays man-to-man. So you've said it before. Normally Al Golden and this Notre Dame defense, they're going to do what they do and be who they are. I would be a little surprised if they don't try to mix it up and try to throw a little wrinkle in here and there, maybe try to throw a little bit of zone at them. That's what Texas did. And obviously it slowed down Jeremiah Smith a little bit, but I also could see Al Golden and Marcus Freeman, as much as belief and love that they have for their players and as much as belief that they instill in them, that I could see them thinking and believing that their corners and their safeties and their guys are good enough to go out there and go toe-to-toe with them and play man-to-man. So I think you're obviously going to see that a lot. But the biggest advantage that Notre Dame has in this game is it's very obvious. It's the defensive line against Ohio State's offensive line. What can Al Golden? And Al Golden blitzes, I think I heard someone say 45% of defensive plays they blitz.
Yep.
So obviously you're going to get Judkins and Henderson in the passing game involved. Screens, quick passes, quick throws, stuff like that. Your hot routes to the back, get back out of the backfield. You're going to get a lot of that in this game probably if Notre Dame is dialing it up. But that is where they can hang in this game, is if they can got to stop the run, because if Ohio State's running the ball, you're dead. You're done.
Yeah.
That's why Oregon couldn't stop the run, and then they were getting just destroyed in the passing game because they couldn't stop anything with Ohio State. If Notre Dame stops the run, you got to just hope that your corners and safeties, your secondary, can match up and put up a fight. And then what can you do when Ohio State does inevitably get into the red zone? Holding them to 3 instead of allowing them to get in the end zone. Holding them to 3. That'll be huge, because I do think Ohio State's going to be able to move the ball a little bit in between the 20s because they're just too talented not to. So keeping them out of the end zone. On the offensive side of the ball, it's just no doubt, bro. They're going to have to open it up a little bit. They're going to have to find some wrinkles. But hey, like we just said a minute ago, these are the two best teams in the country with, as far as combination of offensive coordinator and defensive coordinator. This is number 1 and number 2. Mike Denbrock and Al Golden for Notre Dame, and Chip Kelly and Jim Knowles for Ohio State. This is the best combo of coordinators in all of college football. So these guys are too good, man, to just, with this much time to prepare. I promise you Denbrock's not going to come into this game and be like, well, we're just going to run right into the teeth of this defense and see what happens. They're going to run the ball. Yes, that's what Notre Dame does. But they will have some wrinkles. They will have some things that they'll throw at them here. No different than they did in that fourth quarter against Penn State when they opened it up a little bit. And you saw that Notre Dame does have some weapons with Jaden Greathouse and a few of those cats on the perimeter. Jadarian Price and Jeremiah Love on one leg. They're still elite tandem of tailbacks. So I expect Notre Dame to throw some wrinkles at them. But, dude, I'm with you. It's going to be a very tall task. And I do think there is obviously a chance and an opportunity here where Ohio State could get on them a little bit.
Yeah.
But I'm not counting them out, bro. I'm not counting the Irish out.
Yeah, I appreciate that. We're gonna. That's an early look at the game right now. Subscribe to this channel. Subscribe for more content all week. We're gonna come out with our actual national championship preview later on this week.
And hey, hit
that subscribe button.
Head on over to, like Tyler says, subscribe on YouTube. Like, comment. That obviously helps us out. If you enjoyed, we're not asking for freebies. If you like what our content and like our breakdowns, give us a like. Throw a comment in there. Even if you disagree, that's fine. Like, we can take it. We're grown men. Like, we'll comment back and forth with you. Throw some comments in there, but also, hey, follow us on X, follow us on Instagram. We've got some awesome reels and different memes that Tyler throws out there that people obviously love, judging by the numbers of that. TikTok, while it's apparently still around, follow us on TikTok. We've got stuff there. So yeah, hit us up on our socials. Hit that follow button on Apple and Spotify if you listen on Apple and Spotify. Like I said, it helps us out. We appreciate it.
Yeah. That's it, man. That's it for the show tonight. We got 4 quarters left, 60 minutes.
Yep.
That's it.
60 minutes for the rest of our lives.
Until August, man. So, again, it's another season that went by quick.
Yep.
It's too quick in some cases. So, we appreciate you guys tuning in. We'll be back midweek, and to talk about national championship preview. We'll obviously be here after the game to talk about the recap, and then we'll dive into off-season stuff, all off-season. So, appreciate you guys following along, supporting the show, supporting us. It's been a great season. We're not done yet. 4 more quarters. Let's see what can happen with the Irish and the Buckeyes. Appreciate you guys tuning in. Until next time.